Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your Chief Security Fanatic here. I was not going to be posting a video today because I'm obviously under the weather, but I saw the first two-thirds, or rather listened to the first two-thirds of the Zuckerberg testimony hearing, in front of the U.S. Senate, and it's been very fascinating. A lot of different things have come out of this. Now, we know that for the past 14 years or so, various government organizations have been taking Facebook to task for various privacy and data concerns, such as the Federal Trade Commission, SEC, on and on and on. And so I wrote down a couple of big points here that either Zuckerberg or the senators brought up. And I think it's kind of important because I think we're going to be seeing some changes in both the law and also how Facebook is doing some work. So basically, Mark Zuckerberg alluded to changing the Facebook model. Well, he didn't come out and say it. Two different senators asked him, and his response was basically alluding to Facebook will always be free at one level, but it seems like they're going to be adding a pay version that might allow you to more aggressively opt out of your data. This is something he alluded to very early on, so you can always use Facebook for free, but if you pay a little bit more, you might be able to get better features such as better data protection. So, he also said a lot. He did not have a lot of answers. Basically, he'll get his team on everything, which, is the equivalent of saying, to the best of my recollection, I don't recall. He said that over and over again, and I don't expect him to have every answer, but he did say it quite a bit, probably a couple hundred times in the last few hours. He confirmed also that Facebook is working with Special Counsel Mueller in the Russia investigation, but would not elaborate or go further to details because a lot of that is, I guess, bound by secrecy. He also would not talk about subpoenas if they were subpoenaed, and to his recollection, they were not. He didn't know that, but he did confirm that Facebook was. He universally said that Facebook does not actually turn on the smartphone's microphone to record data for advertising purpose. The only time Facebook ever turns the microphone on is when you are recording a video to upload or stream to Facebook. So we've obviously seen a lot of articles over the years about the mic being turned on, and then you're talking about XYZ and suddenly you're getting advertising for that. So we'll see if that gets confirmed or not. So interestingly enough, to kind of put it in perspective, Senator Durbin from Illinois, which happens to be my state, basically asked Mark Zuckerberg if he would be fine sharing with the committee what hotel he stayed in last night or who he had messaged this week, to underscore the point of data privacy and security, and why can't that apply to everybody else. I thought that was a pretty funny thing. They have a new service. Facebook has a new service, Messenger for Kids, that basically targets 6 years old to 10 or 11 years old. And Mark Zuckerberg said it was a way for parents to vastly control, one, the information that their kids have, but two, it's a way for them to communicate in real time if parents are working late or anything like that. And he said that data is in fact being gathered on that, but it's the messages and nothing else. And now this underscores the point, though, that nobody is really reading the terms of service. And a lot of senators had held up signs or mentioned the terms of service that basically, the first line of the terms of service for Facebook says you own the data, but then later on it basically says that they have license to the data for as long as, you're there. And if you delete the account, according to Mark Zuckerberg, your data is actually being deleted from Facebook. But if that data has been used by, third party, the Cambridge Analyticas of the world, then your data is out there. They're obviously not going to get that back. Now, Mark Zuckerberg also basically unequivocally said, that is not how they share data. They don't give data to third-party advertisers. The advertiser, they control the data, and the advertisers can pick and choose. So if I want to, for example, target sales of skis to women, which is the example he used, then Facebook is going to do that calculation and advertise to women that are interested in buying skis for skiing, and they're not giving the data of who the women are that want skis to that third-party advertiser. Obviously, Cambridge Analytica flies in the face of this, but Mark Zuckerberg repeatedly said that obviously that was illegal, that shouldn't have happened, etc. That's not their normal modus operandi. So, just heads up on that. Also, they have a new verification process for advertisers in a way to combat Russian trolls and fake advertising, or fake organizations rather advertising for elections. But when quizzed and really grilled on that, it's not foolproof. And one of the senators asked, well, if one of these Russians, has a cutout living in the United States that incorporates a corporation in Delaware, how are you going to prove that's from Russia? And Mark Zuckerberg said, well, we can't at that point. So, be prepared to see, Russian hackers innovate around the system that Facebook is putting in place for that, because that's a rather easy one to sidestep and will, I think, catch very little. Now, in terms of data ownership, and I'm looking at my notes here, when basically Zuckerberg said, when you are posting, you are granting Facebook license to use it. That's literally how their service works. So this video right here, I am granting Facebook license to use this. Not that they would, and I'm here talking about them. But it's important to realize that anything you do, pictures, posts, anything, when you are basically opting into their services, text message, they have everything, with the exception possibly of WhatsApp, according to Zuckerberg, because that's supposed to be encrypted user to user. So they are not scanning that per Zuckerberg. And obviously WhatsApp is built more on privacy. Although if I'm going to be using anything, I would be using Signal, which is a much better program. Now, a senator also asked Zuckerberg, should Facebook get clear permission before selling a user's data? And Zuckerberg answered, and I talked about this a little earlier, he said, quote unquote, we don't sell information. And so the senator followed up and asked, would you support legislation for the Consent Act that would make a law that says Facebook and other social media platforms, Google and Apple and all those that data mine you, to get permission from the user for doing that? And he would not commit to saying that, yes, we need to have a law for that, he would review it. And, while he advocates, for regulation, I guess it depends on the regulation. He was also quizzed if he's a monopoly. He could not name a direct competitor, but in specific spheres that Google plays in, he has competitors, or Facebook rather. So, on some aspects, Google competes with Facebook, and some aspects, Twitter competes with Facebook, but there's no apples to apples. And the example was, if I hate Ford, I can go buy a Chevy or vice versa. And there is no Ford or Chevy equivalent to what Facebook is. And so that is the senators are starting to position this so that it looks like they're either going to, one, pass laws for regulation, or maybe possibly hit Facebook up for antitrust. And, Facebook obviously has hundreds of millions of users in the United States and more than 2 billion users worldwide. Now, also another senator, and I'll make this my last point because this is going on and on. Basically, one of the senators asked if he would be able to support, Mark Zuckerberg would be able to support a privacy law for children, meaning kids under the age of, I think it was 16 years old, that their data should be protected by an opt-in law, meaning that their data by default is opted out, that they're not going to be collected to protect children who might be subject to predatory practices by advertisers or, God forbid, horrible people on the planet. And interestingly enough, Mark Zuckerberg would not commit to having an opt-in law for that. Rather, it would be reviewed. He agreed that children need to be protected, but he would not standardize that law. So whatever you think of that, take it for what it is. But my 2 cents is that this is basically the bellwether right now for the tech industry. I guarantee you all the executives from Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Twitter, etc. are watching this to see how this shakes out. And they are watching Facebook, in the next few months to see how they shake out, because literally their entire revenue model is based on data mining. So they are essentially paying lip service to privacy because they are selling ad revenue to that, and how they would be sustainable without either, one, forcing their user base to pay for the service. It's beyond me. So I don't know where that balance is going to be, but we'll see where that happens. And so we're going to see where this goes. I also wrote an article about this that was published last week called Facebook's Me Too moment, and I will post it here, in the link as well, because I think that is a real good understanding of basically why we have this situation in the tech industry in general, not just Facebook or Cambridge Analytica. So thanks for listening here. And as always, please like, share, follow me on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And also, as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.